need for a more durable structure, as well as need for more beds so that people would not be turned away due to lack of space, construction of a 5-story building that could hold more than 400 patients began in March 1924. The new building opened on October 17, 1926, but after the introduction of streptomycin in 1943, the number of tuberculosis cases gradually lowered until there was no longer a need for a large hospital. The remaining patients were sent to Hazelwood Sanatorium in Louisville. Waverly Hills closed in 1961 and later became Woodhaven Medical Services. Now, to tell you how bad things were initially this hospital was rated for about 40 people. Before the next building got built, there were 140 people in this place. So it was overcrowded, like right from the start almost.
Yeah.
Just because of how fast tuberculosis was traveling in the area.
Right, and that can't be good.
No, it's not. Due to constant need for repairs on the wooden structures, the building was reopened in 1962 as Woodhaven Geriatric Center, a nursing home primarily treating aging patients with various stages of dementia and mobility limits, as well as the severely mentally handicapped. However, Woodhaven failed greatly because it was severely understaffed and overcrowded. Woodhaven also had reports of patient neglect and was closed by the state of Kentucky in 1982. After that, they were looking at recreating it as a prison. Developer J. Clifford Todd bought the hospital in 1983 for $3 million or thereabouts. He and architect Milton Thompson wanted to convert it into a minimum security prison for the state, but the developers dropped the plan after neighbors protested. Todd and Thompson then proposed converting the hospital into apartments, but they counted on the Jefferson Fiscal Court to buy around 140 acres from them for $400,000, give them money to start the project. Problem was, Jefferson Fiscal Court chose not to do that.
Well, there you go.
In March 1996, Robert Alberhaske bought Waverly Hills and the surrounding area. Alberhaske's Christ the Redeemer Foundation made plans to construct the world's tallest statue of Jesus on the site, along with an arts and worship center. The statue, which was inspired by the famed Christ the Redeemer statue on Corcovado Mountain in Rio de Janeiro, the very famous Jesus statue, would have been designed by local sculptor Ed Hamilton and architect Jasper Ward. The first phase of development, coming in at a cost of $4 million, would have been a statue of 150 feet tall and 150 feet wide, situated on the roof of the sanatorium. The second phase would convert the sanatorium into a chapel, theater, and gift shop at a cost of $8 million or more. The plan to construct the religious icon fell through because donations to the project fell well short of expectations. In the period of a year, only $3,000 was raised toward the project, despite efforts to pool money from across the nation. The project was canceled in December of 1997. Which is weird, because normally somebody says, I want to build something religious. There's a crazy number of people in this country that will send you money. Lots of money. And so the fact that they could only raise $3,000 in the 90s is crazy to me. In Kentucky, no less.
Yeah.
Now, they built a tunnel, which was originally designed as an entrance and exit for workers of the sanatorium. It was built on the first floor with the rest of the building. The corridor is 500 feet to the bottom of the hill and has a set of stairs on one side, which were the stairs used for the workers. On the other side, there was a cart that moved up and down the staircase, which transported supplies and other necessities. Since antibiotics did not exist in the time that the sanatorium was active, other forms of aid were used to treat TB patients. For example, heat lamps, fresh air, and positive talk and reassurance helped to keep patients alive, since the death rate of TB patients at the time was 1 death per day. However, at the peak of the disease, the sight of the dead being carried away in full view of the patients lowered the patient morale. Like you'd expect, really.
Well, yeah.
Therefore, the sanatorium tried transporting the dead bodies as secretly as possible to increase the morale and lower the death rates, using the tunnel to that end. The doctors and workers of the time also believed that this would help to lower the disease's spreading rate. And thus, this tunnel today is referred to as the body chute. After Alberhaske's efforts failed, Waverly Hills was sold to Tina and Charlie Mattingly in 2001. The Mattingly hold tours of Waverly Hills and host haunted house attraction each Halloween, with proceeds going toward restoration of the property. They're also currently restoring all the windows in the decrepit building while restoring the interior of the old sanatorium. Waverly Hills also hosted the last show of the touring music festival, Sounds of the Underground, on August 11th, 2007. The show featured prominent acts in the extreme metal and metalcore scene, including Job for a Cowboy, The Acacia Strain, Hatebreed, Shadows Fall, Chimera, Guar, Cameo, Lamb of God, and the number 12 Looks Like You. Similar festivals or concert will likely not happen again at Waverly Hills due to complaints made by local residents.
Gee. Yeah, think. Wow.
Yeah.
Who thought that was the best idea?
Probably the underground Sounds of the Underground tour people, but it might have been the only ones. Now, another name for tuberculosis was also called the White Plague. It wasn't fully understood. Doctors at the time of the new sanatorium had noticed that patients who were able to rest and had access to clean air and sunshine seemed to do better than others. So as a result, much of the treatment at Waverly Hills was based on what the medical field refers to as good vibes, which stand in fairly sharp contrast to the building's current reputation as a hot spot for the unquiet dead, but yeah, it's a thing. So the hospital was really meant to contribute to the atmosphere of peace and rest. But like I said, by 1910, tuberculosis had reached epidemic proportions. And Louisville was purportedly hard hit, as we said before. And like I said, they had 140 patients in a facility designed to hold 40. That's
over quadruple of what's supposed to be in there.
Yeah, it's almost quadruple.
Well, yeah, almost quadruple. My math's not so good, but you know this about me.
You know what? It's okay. Math doesn't have to be good. You had it pretty well called out. So that's the history of the building and the sanatorium itself. Now, I don't have it in our schedule because I often forget to put it in, but I want to take a moment for a word from our sponsors. Well,
Honey.
Yes.
Honey, guess what?
What?
I feel sponsored.
Well, in addition to the number 13 and the letter G for ghost, we're apparently also sponsored this week by my cat Apollo, who is sleeping on my chest.
Yeah, he generally sleeps on your chest through the show anyway. It's just, you don't normally give a call out to it.
Apollo,
I
you're spoiled.
yeah, a little bit, you think?
Ow. Ow.
What'd you do?
Ow. Ow.
More than a little bit.
Ow.
She got her funny bone.
Oh, on what?
I popped my funny bone.
Ooh.
Ow.
Not good.
Okay, well, now that our Krysta is breaking herself and we've sponsored the sponsoring.
Yes.
What's next?
Back to the ghosts.
Back to the ghost. Well, actually, that's where we're going. We're going to the ghost of Waverly Hills.
That's why I said back to the ghosts.
Mom knows what she's talking about.
Okay, let's not get out of hand here, Krysta.
A little bit.
Okay. So, Waverly Hills Sanatorium is considered one of the most haunted places, not only in Kentucky, but in the whole United States.
Yeah. Now this is the one place that anybody who I've ever seen investigate or go through stuff, this is the place this is like the holy grail of going and experiences and like anything that I've ever seen for people. If you're going to have a kick butt experience, Waverly Place is one of the top 3.
Yeah, Waverly Hills has a reputation as a reliably haunted place. Mm-hmm. And that's before they started doing a Halloween attraction every year. Mm-hmm. It was so reliable that ghost hunters returned there on more than one occasion. Yeah. And they didn't do that for a lot of places. In fact, they had a regular Halloween show. And because at that time, the WWE had a show on the Sci-Fi Network, which was ECW, they would occasionally send stars to help with the Halloween show. Like one year they sent CM Punk, and CM Punk joined the Ghost Hunters and conducted himself very well. The following year, they had the WWE sent a wrestler by the name of Elijah Burke. Elijah Burke did not play well with others when it came to the undead. Now he's a black man. Nothing wrong with that. I am positive on black people, but Elijah didn't like ghosts, and I don't know how he let himself be talked into going to Waverly Hills with the ghost hunters, but he spent half that show running around, screaming like a banshee, being scared by everything, to the great annoyance, although they never said so, they were very professional people. I could just tell, like, Hawes and Grant, very annoyed at Elijah Burke, who kept taking off and running every time something happened. Not running towards things, which they like, running away, which they don't like. He's like, if you run away from something, you can't learn anything about it. And they're all about learning about it, right? So, yeah, they were not happy with Elijah Burke at Waverly. And I'll be honest, I don't really blame him.
Right.
Elijah? Ghosts scare the crud out of me, especially if they're throwing bread. Get the bread, the butter, and the knife.
Now, people who visit visit Waverly Hills will hear unexplained footsteps and the slamming of doors. And in fact, I want to say Forrest Burgess from Astonishing Legends was at Waverly Hills and recorded a door slam. I know he's been there to do a ghost hunt without Scott, with just a friend of his. And he talked about some of the things he experienced, but I mean, it was like an offhand thing on a show that was not about ghosts. It was appropriate to the topic at hand that they were talking about, and he mentioned it. And I want to say he said he heard a door slam, but I could be wrong on that. So the weird noises. Obviously, as Waverly was a hospital, the sound of screaming patients is thought to emanate from the long empty rooms. The hallways are said to be the scene of phantom shadows running around. And of course, there are numerous reports of footsteps, voices, and other sounds within the hallway known as the body chute. Also, people in the body chute will tend